Dell on the defensive as its founder battles to keep control of the struggling PC maker. Hello and welcome you with World Business Report. I'm Sally Bundock. Also in the programme, Singapore Airlines rethinks its strategy as it faces new competition in Asia and the Gulf. But first of all, we start in Japan, where there is strong evidence that massive and controversial stimulus measures are paying off. Japan's GDP grew 0.9% in the first 3 months of the year compared to the year before. That's stronger than expected. And when you look back on the past year, its economy grew by 3.5%. Again, that's an impressive figure, stronger than expected. And when you compare to the US, much better than the 2.5% growth that they saw during the same period. So the figures cover the first complete quarter since Prime Minister Shinzo Abe returned to power in December, pledging to drag Japan out of 2 decades of economic stagnation with huge government spending financed by printing unlimited amounts of yen. Well, let's go live to our correspondent in Tokyo, Rupert Wingfield-Hayes. Nice to see you, Rupert. So it would seem that Prime Minister Abe's medicine is working for now. Thank you very much indeed, Rupert, and it's something we will discuss, as you know, here on World Business Report, as and when we get more information about how Japan is doing. But let's now take a look at some corporate stories, starting with Dell reporting its first quarter earnings later, 5 days early. A very unusual move. The PC maker hasn't said why, but there is speculation it's poised to reveal profits news that is much worse than expected, and so it wanted to inform Wall Street as soon as possible. Dell is facing a shrinking share of a declining PC market that's led to a battle for control of the company. Samira Hussain reports from New York.
More awards than any other PC
For 2 decades, this was the computer to have.
Dude, you're getting a Dell.
Easy to buy, easy to own, easy as Dell.
But those days are gone. PC sales are declining as customers favor tablets and mobile devices.
Here's the problem. Dell is struggling to remain relevant. Back in 2000, its stock price hit an all-time high of about $54. But take a look behind me. The stock price now hovers around $13.50. And currently, there is a fight brewing over what to do with the company's future.
2 men and 2 competing visions for Dell. On the left, founder and CEO of the company, Michael Dell. On the right, the largest shareholder, Carl Icahn. Michael Dell wants to take the company back into private hands and change it from a PC maker to a full-service IT company, or possibly something more. But corporate investor Carl Icahn believes the company is worth more and is putting another offer on the table, one that would keep the 3rd largest computer maker a publicly traded company. If Icahn's bid prevails, it's unlikely Michael Dell would continue as CEO. Wrestling the company away from the man who brought PCs to the masses from his university dorm room won't be easy. Samira Hussain, BBC News, New York.
And when we get the results from Dell, which will no doubt make waves and headlines later today, we'll update you on the BBC. But let's now take you to Asia, and the second biggest airline there reports its results today and is considering a major strategy overhaul. This is Singapore Airlines. It's finding life tough, being caught between the well-funded Gulf airlines and the cheaper budget carriers in Asia. Let's go to our business hub there in Singapore and speak to Rico Hizon. Nice to see you, Rico. So Singapore Airlines having a tough time.
Sally.
What's it going to do about it?
Sally.
Okay, thanks very much, Rico. Now, we told you yesterday, keep an eye out for Google. It's hosting some 6,000 software engineers, entrepreneurs and journalists at its annual developers conference in San Francisco. It's a chance for the internet giant to showcase its latest services, among them a revamp of Google Maps. Our correspondent, Rory Kethrin-Jones, is there and sent this report.
The I/O Developers Conference, Google's been unveiling all sorts of changes to its various services, perhaps the most important to Google Maps. And Daniel Seberg from Google, tell us what users will notice about this new version of Maps.
So probably the most dramatic change will be that the search bar is available up here on the top left. you're seeing much more of the Maps experience when you look at the screen. And from there, we're actually using a Chromebook Pixel, so in this case we can actually do touchscreen, but you can pull up, for example, in this case it's a coffee shop, and then we can just tap here if we want to go in and see some of the street view imagery. So before you even get there, you have an idea of what the neighborhood is like. You may see this carousel of images from users, and then you can just quickly back out of it just like that.
Now, what's the thinking here? You're getting a more personalized map experience, aren't you? But you're also getting more advertising and perhaps in a more subtle way?
Well, it's more unique to you. So we are hoping to make your Maps experience tied to your searches. So if you are searching for coffee places, we want to surface ads that are relevant to whatever content that you're looking for.
So in terms of this giant advertising business, which Google is, this is actually a key product. It's attractive to advertisers.
Oh, absolutely. And although we should point out that actually during the preview period of the new Google Maps, there will be no charge to advertisers as they're part of all of this. But certainly going forward, that's absolutely an opportunity for them, but we want to make it useful for the users.
And Rory's there for the duration. We'll have more from him as it continues there in San Francisco. Other business stories. The world's biggest retailer, Walmart, is also going to tell us how much money it's been making in the last quarter. They're expected to show improving spending by US shoppers who have been holding off purchases after tax rises hit them at the beginning of the year. There's likely to be a lot of attention on Walmart's policies in Bangladesh after it refused to join a factory safety accord signed by most other garment retailers. Oil giant BP says it may have to pay billions of dollars more than it expected in compensation to businesses affected by the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. The oil giants lodged an appeal in the US against the settlement procedure because it believes huge amounts are going to companies that don't deserve to be compensated. BP worries it will be irreparably harmed by the costs and has asked the British government to intervene. Britain's government spending watchdog, the National Audit Office, has criticised plans for a new high-speed north-south rail link, which would be the UK's biggest ever infrastructure project. The NAO says the project's funding is more than £3 billion short, and it's not clear how it will bring economic growth. Now, you would think the good news about the Japanese economy would give its market a boost today, but no, we've got some profit taking going on. So the Nikkei down by just over 1%. Yesterday it closed above 15,000 for the first time in over 5 years. So perhaps it's time for some profits to be taken, and the Nikkei is up 45% this year alone. But we had some bad news from some of the big banks in Japan in terms of earnings. That did disappoint, and so financials are falling. The yen, though, still very weak in comparison to recent weeks. I will see you soon for a look at the papers.